When I stepped back from my HR career, I did so blindly. Nobody shared with me what to expect during my career break or what the process would be like when I decided to return to the paid workforce. But with millions of people on a career break, we need to start talking about this, which is why in this video, I'm going to share with you 5 things that I wish I knew before I took my career break that will hopefully help you as you navigate your own career break. And make sure to stick around until the end when I'm going to share an eye opening fact that completely changed my perspective on career breaks. So let's get started. Number one is that the system, at least here in the US, is not set up for your success when you take a career break. You probably already know this, but the US is one of very few countries that don't offer any type of paid leave to new parents. And on top of that, they don't even require employers to offer any type of PTO, which is paid time off. Yep, nothing, zero, zilch. And when you look at that and you think to yourself, how do I take any time to care for my child, my parent, or yourself? You realize that you're not set up to do so. And our system is broken. So take that pressure off of yourself that you're doing something wrong or you're the only one who can't figure this out, because you're not. All of us are just trying our best to patchwork together what we think is the best solution. All of this means that you're going to have to be strategic with how you approach your career break. And the earlier that you start thinking about this, the better, because that's going to allow you time to figure out how you're going to navigate this. And like I said, it's not you, it's the system, and you just have to do the best with the current system that you can. Number two is people are gonna judge your career break. And you know what? Just let them. So, when I stepped away from my career, I was moving on up the ranks. So, I was getting some pushback of like, is this the best decision? If you step away, it's going to be really hard to just return back to your same level. Or, oh, are you sure you want to waste all that time that you spent in your career and on your education just to throw it all away and step out completely away from everything? Or when I returned to the paid workforce, it was, is now the best time? Your kiddo's still pretty little. Are you sure that you're making the best decision? Maybe you could wait a little bit longer. But here's the thing, people are always going to have their opinions, and it's useless for you to try to convince them to change their mind or to get them on your side. You're the one who is making the decision that is best for you and your family. Be confident in your decision and don't feel as though you have to change anybody's mind, because you don't. And number three is it is completely normal to struggle mentally during your career break. Oh, I wish somebody would have told me this one from the get go, because this was a huge one for me. Now, I've been working since I was a teenager, and I bet that you have been working a long time as well. And during that time, we tend to intertwine our identities with our careers. And even more so, we are very used to being independent with our money, because if you've brought in a paycheck for years, it is very disconcerting to just stop. And while you might have a loving partner who says, don't worry about it, that doesn't matter. At least for me, it didn't, because it was still just a mental struggle. And for you, it might look different. Your struggle might be something else. But what you need to do is have open conversations with your partner about what those struggles are, as well as be honest with yourself and see if you can come up with ways that will help you through those struggles. So for me, the financial aspect was a huge one. I just was so used to having money that I could go and maybe get a massage and I didn't even have to think about it. But when I was no longer making money, I felt guilty about doing that. So I ended up setting aside some of my paid out PTO in my last paycheck, kind of just set aside that I could pull from when I wanted. And then I actually even started selling a bit on eBay. So at least I had some type of money coming in that I didn't feel guilty about using. And I want to put it out there that in no way, shape, or form did my husband make me feel guilty. It was just an internal struggle. And like I said, I don't know what yours is, but I need you to be honest with yourself and work through that. Otherwise, it's going to eat at you during your time away. Number four is it's going to be harder than you think to return to the paid workforce. Now, generally, the longer that you've been out of the paid workforce, the longer it's going to take to find a position. And I'm curious, how long have you been out of the paid workforce? I'd love to know, so just comment below. Now, if you've been out for a year or two, it's going to look different than if you've been out for 10 or 15 years. But there are things in both circumstances that you can do to make the transition back to the paid workforce way easier. And the first one is to make sure to keep your connections warm. So often we think, all right, well, when I need to return to the paid workforce, at that point, I'm going to start reaching out to people. No, 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 no. Make sure that you are cultivating those connections throughout the time that you've been out of the paid workforce. And that could be a simple check-in email or a coffee once a year, anything where you're just touching base. So when you do decide to return to the paid workforce, you know that those people are there for you and it won't be this awkward thing of like, hey, we haven't spoken in 10 years, just wanted to reach out because I'm looking for a job. Also, when you are going to leave your position to start your career break, make sure that your resume is where you want it. Because I can guarantee you, if you don't update your resume and you go back 5 years later, you're going to be left with, what did I do? So have your resume up to date. Forward yourself any performance reviews or emails that speak to your work performance so you have all of that ready to go when you need to update everything. Although I do suggest just updating it before you actually step away from your current position. Also, during your career break, do things. Do things that is going to make it easier for you to return. It doesn't have to be anything huge. Just maybe strategic volunteering in areas that you want to learn and grow in, or joining professional organizations, or even taking free or low cost classes that you are able to use to upskill in the areas that you are interested in. And if you would like a checklist of other things to consider during your job search, just comment checklist below and I'll make sure to get that over to you. And number five is your break is going to be seen as a liability. It's true. Unfortunately, there are going to be some companies that are going to see your career break on your resume and simply move you along into the no pile. And that is okay, because that's not a company that you want to work for anyway. The great thing is there are companies specifically looking for people who have taken career breaks. And if you would like to learn more about those, just check out the video in the description below. But really, you do want a company that values the time that you've taken away because you have grown. You have new skills, new abilities, new experiences, things that make you even a more well rounded person than maybe if you would have stayed directly in your career path. And with that, when you have a company that recognizes that in you and sees that value, you know that that is an employer that you want to work for. So there you go. The 5 things that I wish I would have known and that you now know. Now, what is this eye-opening fact that changed my perspective on career breaks? Well, I actually have my computer and normally I don't read verbatim, but I don't want to mess up these numbers, so I'm going to read them. Now, this is from an article from 2022 from SHRM, which is the Society of Human Resource Management. And now this is quote, we estimate there are roughly 3.4 million educated parents of prime working age who are on a career break for childcare reasons. 2.9 million women plus 0.5 million men. And roughly 80% or 2.7 million are estimated and are estimated to be interested in returning to work. Now, here's the thing with that. That blew my mind because I felt so alone in my journey. There are millions of other people in your same boat. And those are only the people who are taking a break because of childcare reasons. There are so many other people out there who are taking breaks for other reasons, whether that be for their own mental health or to care for aging parents. That means there are even more people. And if we start talking about this and we make this something that is just a normalized situation that happens in life, which it is because life is not just about work, it just makes the topic so much more approachable and it makes you feel less isolated. So, this one really helped me. And I hope it helps you as well. Now, if you are looking to return to the paid workforce after your career break, make sure to check out my video here where I share 10 easy tips that you can start implementing today to get you back on the path to the paid workforce.